Thijs Biersteker, and I'm an interactive artist who creates awareness art installations about the world's most pressing issues. And to be honest, I have to admit I'm a bit nervous because I'm going to show two new works today that I haven't shown anybody yet, and especially not on a giant screen like this. So I want you to help me a little bit get used to it. So we were just doing the standing up exercise, and I thought that was a good one. So I first want to thank the guys from Kyoorius. So let's get up, all, and thank the guys. Give them a round of applause, because this is one of the most amazing things I've found. So stay up with me for a little bit. So you guys, and you can sit down if you do not agree. That's the trick. So, does anybody got really inspired today by one of the speakers? Good, nobody's sitting down. That's good, guys. Does anybody feel inspired by their work? Good. Did anybody feel jealous about the work they did? That's a lot of people. Does anybody feel envy if they see work like that? Still, everybody's jealous. Everybody feels envy. Does anybody become, and this is an honest one, so it's okay to sit down. Does anybody feel judgmental when they see work like that? So the moment they see it, they start like, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that. So they start being judgmental about what they do. You realize, just look around, you're almost all up, right? So I had that same problem a few years ago when I was asked to design a book cover. You can see, I had the same problem when I was asked to design this book cover, and it was for the Art Directors Club of the Netherlands, and there was a lot of work in it that made me really, really jealous. And I was like, I hate this. I have to design a book for the guys, and I want to be in the book. And then I realized like that was holding me back to enjoy a lot of the work that I see. And it was holding myself back to get inspired again and again. So what I did is I made the cover that judges you. And it's an actual cover with a camera on top. And when you approach the book, it scans your face on emotions. So it tracks you, and if you feel overexcited, or you feel really angry, you show any emotions, it won't open. But if you approach the book again and it scans my face, and I try to stay as neutral as possible so I don't judge the book by its cover, you see the little powered lock there? Then it opens, and they can actually finally read it. So that's the cover. Thank you. So it got over 900 million views on the web. But what really I liked the most of it was the mirror, putting Kanye West and the sentence, asshole resting face on the one slide. So for me, that was one of the highlights of this whole project. But I need to get a bit serious today, because we're talking about gaps. And everybody's saying mind the gap, and I don't think that's something we should do. I think we belong in the gap. I think we, as designers here, are having this enormous power in this world to be in the gap and to heal the gaps that are appearing. So you can see it in climate change deniers, in all the segregation of culture. Like, the gaps are growing rapidly in this world, and we as designers have this imagination that can heal those gaps, that can bridge the gap, and that can bring us together again. And I do that on my own way, and a lot of people here possess the same ability, because they're not easy problems, they're complex, and we here are trained with one simple purpose: to take giant complex problems and turn them into compelling solutions. And I think the world needs those solutions, and we are trained here to take giant briefs, take a lot of different metaphors and a lot of different products and all the guidelines and everything, and turn them into one simple ad, or turn them in one simple piece of art, or turn them in one simple chair. Like, we are trained to do this. So this is the skill set we need. So I think, to give you an example, for me as a surfer, I'm used to plastic now surrounding me, and I'm used to plastic basically coming in every ocean I surf in. And I started diving into this problem a few years ago, and of course, human waste is a big problem, and it has its own network of complexity. Then it becomes ocean plastic, which has their own, well, giant complex problem. And that ocean plastic breaks down in tiny bits, and then it becomes even a bigger problem because they become microplastics, which become fish food, which the fish food becomes human food, and basically it ends up in our body. And then a year ago, I read this article from researchers in Japan, and they found something extraordinary that scared the shit out of me. They showed us that the microplastic in our food, they can enter our bloodstream, penetrate our cell tissue, and enter up in our muscles and in our fat tissue. So slowly we are becoming plastic human beings. And for me, as an artist, I think that's part of the stuff that triggers my brain. So here you see my awesome sketching skills. I'm sorry for doodle, but this is how I do it. So I thought it would be amazing to make a person's show in their plastic self. So this is my sketch, and this is how the actual work became. So this is not projection. This is real pieces of plastic coming up from the water and being pulled down as you mirror it. It's not projection, it's not images, it's not screens. This is real. And what I noticed is that I saw the same pattern. People approach the work, they see the work, and they thought like, oh, that's fun. And they start playing with it, and they start interacting with it, and after a while, they realized how creepy it was, how scary it was to be reflected in ocean plastic. So they started to experience the issue themselves, and they started to feel actually involved with the work, with the problem, and it resonated on another level than a lot of the things we do. So for me, I believe that our experience are the shortcuts to our emotions, and that's something that I try to do a lot in our work, and especially now in these days when our emotions here are basically guiding a lot of the things in life. For example, this. Who knows this graph? Is there anybody? It's a beautiful, beautiful planetarium, but actually it's the scariest thing you will see today. So this was during the 2016 American elections. And what you can see is every time you see a little light popping up, it's one of the major outlets tweeting something horrible. And you can see the two planets, and you can guess it already by now. The red is Republicans, and the rest of the world and the Democrats are on the other side. So you can see if the one light lights up, it fires, but it doesn't reach the other planet anymore. We are living in complete bubbles of isolation in communication, and also in the way how our news travels and our truth travels. So this is, for me, a big challenge, and especially as an artist, that this grabs me, these kind of researches. So I thought, here we go with the awesome sketching again. So I thought it would be great if we can just focus all with our brain waves on one single thing. Like, instead of focusing on our small differences, it would be good to let our brains talk for us and move our way and try to focus on something bigger than ourselves. So wait, that went quick. Go back. So I built an installation, and I built it together with David Carson, which is a great design legend and a really old guy who can do a lot of beautiful work. So we collaborated on this installation, and it's called Mind Over Matter. And with this one thing, if we focus on the right things, we can move worlds. And let me show you a little clip of that. Wait for it. Yeah. So this is Mind Over Matter. So we created a giant sphere. And you can control this installation with your brain waves. So we've put EEG meters on, like here. the data comes flowing in, and together 2 people, 4 people, 6 people, 10 people can control this world. And if you focus, the world stays in neatly balance. But if you lose focus, it turns dark and gritty and pollution, and it turns it into this polluted world. So you see the data coming in, and what you actually saw is that a lot of people who didn't know each other, who never met, and who are from completely different backgrounds, they actually moved apart. They started working with the installation, and they moved slowly together as they were trying to achieve something bigger. So they actually stood there and waited and started to get in a meditative state together, get physically together, and control this installation. And I think a lot of these things are, what is really important for me is that they're directly responsive, so people know that it's what they're doing is actually having influence. So here you can see a small clip. This is the last bit I saw. So you see them focusing, and now the girl loses her focus, and they both tear up and laughing. And you see instantly it goes dark and gritty. And I think that's one of the things that you need in interaction and interaction design, that have direct response to make an actual good impact. So that was the first project I never showed anybody. That was Mind Over Matter. Shall we go to the next straight up? Oh, no. Come on. Yes, it moves. So what I do is I amplify my ideas with the power of technology and not the other way around. So I use technology as my paint. And as I move a lot into the spheres of technology, I start to hate this thing where algorithms, and we all know it from the data bubbles that we're in on our timeline feeds, they have narrowed our world. We can only see our friends, our own view in the world, and the way the news that we get on our timelines is pretty curated. So we don't encounter new perspectives anymore. We don't see new opinions. We don't judge people anymore. We don't get in a fight about an opinion in a chat box. We are basically living in our own siloed worlds. And so that was something that actually hit me a long time. And I wanted to show this new work. This is the first time it's ever been shown. So I call it Volvarium. And basically, I thought it would be great to put you in an installation to build an installation that puts you in the center of a universe of new perspectives. So, you know about sketching by now. This was the awesome sketch I made. And I thought it would be great to have giant lenses, turn around the VR camera, and distorting the world as you see it in different ways. So we started building that. Here you can see a bit of the tech. There you can see the installation being on fire the first time. There you see how we start building the lenses in the studio and how we start shaping it up. And I'm a bit nervous. This is how it looks now. Here you go, there it is. So you can see the lenses turning around, and in the center of it, here, there it goes, yes. So there's the camera. So the camera live stitches and puts 4K straight into YouTube. So anybody in the room can put out their mobile phone, put on the headset, and be in this universe. That's the camera again. So that was Volvarium. Hope you guys like that. And I think on that same vein that I started to have this hate-love relationship with technology, I started to hate the data a lot. Because the more we know about the data being tracked by us, the more we know it's being used really ugly. And a few years ago, I built this machine to actually spy on people as well. And it's called Periscopista. And that was the awesome drawing. I wanted to make eyes that watches people stay on a festival ground and see them and monitor them and use their data. But then this time, instead of having a pair of shoes tracing you down on your timeline for the rest of the year, we use them for something more beautiful. So this was the other sketch, and this is how we were building the installation. I've put a tiny human being there to make it look bigger. Here you go. Wait, one more time, because I always like that, how it goes from Illustrator to giant thing. So we've built these watching eyes that were tracking the people as they had walked down the festival ground and as they are moving as patterns over the festival ground. And wait, let me go back. We built a few of them. There was even one on main stage. Then we're watching people. And then it all came together in a giant control room. And if you can lower the lights, this is the last movie. This is what it was. That's my studio. That's the island. And this is how it works. So these were the motion patterns of the people walking across and the energy levels. I liked it to be not more than screens. So we built in some basic interactions for people to control this giant mist cloud themselves. So if the guys were shouting, the balls got bigger, and when the girls were shouting, it started turning. And you can easily just completely self-orchestrate and self-dirigent the whole installation at your fingertips. That was it. When when we closed down, there was still one girl playing with it for 1 hour when it was already off. She was she was so wasted. It was great. All right, now it's the time for a few last words before we close up. So, wow, hear that? So if everybody here does a bit, does their own bit, we can make a terabyte of difference. Because we here as designers, we are trained to turn the complex into the compelling, and our talents can turn that tide. I strongly believe that. So let's do what we love for the things that leave the love the most. Well, thank you. Wait, wait. So I go. Can you put it on again? This is the most important part that you will get. So these are all the people I worked with. These are all the people I make my installations with. And these are the people, like I'm standing here, but they did the actual work. And I think everybody here on stage gets here by all the people they collaborate with that help you. So even my mom is on there. That's it.
Thank you very much.